Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's edition of NASCAR 07 as we have another Mark Martin Revenge Tour race for you guys here today as we are going to be racing at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, this is NASCAR's race weekend at Atlanta for both the Xfinity Series race tomorrow night and the Cup Series race Sunday night, so I figured, hey, why not run this race here today? Certainly, it came up on our custom schedule season, and it just so happened to be the Atlanta race weekend, so that's why I decided to run the race. This was not preemptively planned before the start of the actual NASCAR season in 2023. It just so happened that we got here on the same weekend. Appreciate everybody tuning in here on this Friday night. Hopefully you're off to a good start to your weekend, and we will get into this race. It's a long one, just like last night, 500 miles, same distance. This is a 1.5 mile track, though, versus a 2-mile racetrack, and of course it's the old Atlanta Motor Speedway, so this is going to be a traditional 1.5 mile style race and not a super speedway race. We are going to be starting on the pole. No practice, no qualifying, very similar to yesterday. I'll use the chase plate for this race to qualify on the pole without actually qualifying. Last night we finished 23rd at Fontana in that race at the Auto Club Speedway, so hopefully we could turn things around here in this one. It has been 6 races since the last win for Mark Martin on this season. We'll see if we can go to victory lane here today. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into today's race. Billy Kramer, Wade Selinsky, and others, welcome into the stream. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Atlanta, and Mark Martin trying to go to victory lane. Jeff Gordon with a great launch off the start, similar to that of Jimmy Johnson yesterday. Martin slipping the tires a little bit here as we're getting to the green flag. And we're really going to have to try to settle in very quickly as that wheel spin off the start for Martin was not great whatsoever. And he is going to lose 4 positions off the start of the race, and Jeff Gordon will lead lap 1 after leading many laps in yesterday's race. And Mark Martin's car is all over the place right now, I gotta say. This does not feel comfortable at all. It already feels way too loose, which is not good because we are just getting started. Oh my goodness, yeah. Come on, hang on to it. This is not good. I honestly thought I was going to wreck right there. Still side by side with Dale Jarrett. Jimmy Johnson on the outside lane right in front of Mark Martin, holding him up a little bit. Oh my goodness, so loose. Didn't mean to make contact with Jarrett. Jarrett falls in line. It looks like Brian Vickers to his outside. Kurt Busch and the 2 got around him. Kurt Busch didn't win that race at California last night, so he's trying to go back-to-back today. And we have a caution already off turn 4, just a few laps into the race. Caution flag is out. Ooh. Pretty hard hit, it looked like, for the 147. I think Robbie Gordon got a piece of the incident as well. Oh, just got loose. J.J. Yaley with a hard hit into the back. Oh, and Yaley went upside down. Oh, my goodness. J.J. Yaley was barrel rolling in the grass on the front stretch. A wild wreck at Atlanta here in the early laps. We're going to set up another restart. Who saw that coming? Oh, my goodness. Just a few laps into the race, we already saw a big crash off turn 4, a flip, an Atlanta-sized big one. Green flag back in the air. Lap 7. After the lap 4 caution, Mark Martin spins his tires again on the restart. We are going to have to tighten this thing up quite a bit because it is way too loose for my liking. I do not want to clip the apron either because that's going to only make things even worse, I feel like. Only lost 1 spot in the restart this time with it being single file and kind of helped us out rather than double file. Jeff Gordon's led the first 7 laps of the race. He had 6 cautions last night, including a green light checker finish in which Kurt Busch got to the lead on that last restart, getting by Greg Biffle, who had led the most laps and probably deserved to win the race, but it was a late spin from our driver here, Mark Martin, which unfortunately caused the incident and caused that to transpire. And now in this situation here in this race, we'll see what Mark Martin can do. Definitely trying to settle in. I do like the single file restart a lot better than the double file that time because Luckily, everything went according to plan this time around, other than the fact we lost a spot. Martin Truex Jr. looking to get up inside the second place position. Waltrip went wide, just past Jimmy Johnson for third. May have a shot at another spot as well. Martin sits behind Kurt Busch for right now, waiting to see exactly when he's going to try to make the pass. So sketchy to run side by side on this racetrack with the handling of this race car right now. I do not feel comfortable trying to do it whatsoever. Philip Moore, Evan Stevens, thanks for tuning into the stream also. Johnson getting back by Waltrip, it looks like. Truex into second. Johnson got a little tight off turn 4. Hey, Stephen King 92 Hammer. Rick, also welcome into the stream, guys. And yes, I did upgrade the profile pic for this weekend. I created that a couple days ago, and I actually meant to upload it before the stream last night when we came back. I didn't. A little loose off turn 2 that time for Martin. And he was fishtailing most of the way down the backstretch as a result. Johnson trying to get back into second place to follow his teammate Jeff Gordon. Waltrip got tight that time off turn 4. So difficult to attempt to try to make a pass right now. I mean, this thing is so sketchy. I do not feel comfortable with this race car at all. Kurt Busch trying to make a pass on Michael Waltrip to the inside of the racetrack. And how about Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car for DEI looking to get to the lead. Martin gets past Waltrip, followed Kurt Busch. Going to get to the inside of Kurt as well and clear him off of turn 4. And Mark Martin go up to 4th. After starting on the pole, didn't lead a lap. Johnson to second. Gordon, after leading the first 11 laps of the race, did not lead lap 12. He's trying to get back to second underneath his teammate Jimmy Johnson into turn 3, though. He is going to be able to do so. Mark Martin going to follow the 24 car to get by the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Oh my goodness. Hang on to it, hang on to it, hang on to it. Oh my goodness, all that fishtailing is very bothersome, I will say. I don't like it. Once it gets a little out of shape and a little light off the exit of the corner, it takes me the whole straightaway to try to catch it again. Let's slow down on Johnson. Having to check up with how squirrely Martin got off turn 4, allowed for Michael Waltrip to get another spot again. 15 laps into the race. Jeff Gordon going for the lead again under Truex. Couldn't quite get there. And here comes Gordon. Underneath Truex. We'll get to the lead. Mark Martin trying to get underneath Gordon for the lead himself off turn 4. A lot of contact to the line. Martin will get 5 bonus points leading his first lap of the night. Slide job into turn 1. Martin clear. Truex to the bottom of the racetrack. Martin got a little loose and up into the wall, and Gordon tagged him, and that kind of stalled everybody up. Well, Martin got 5 bonus points, but that was it. Down to the bottom of the racetrack goes Martin. Truex decides to block the outside instead. Into the corner deep goes Martin, used Gordon up. Johnson going for third underneath Gordon as Martin Truex Jr. leads the field at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I can't believe how on edge this race car is right now. By the way, I'm trying to read the chat as much as I can. I'm sorry if I'm falling behind a little bit. This car is very unstable. To battle this loose from the get-go, not something I'm used to dealing with on this game. Got the 1 lap let in. Honestly, I'm willing to just park it behind Truex at this point. I am A-okay with that. We've got 500 miles in this race. I don't want to do what I did yesterday, which was burn the tires up in the first run, battle for the lead. I led all 8 of my laps in the first probably 20 to 30 laps, and that was it. I couldn't lead again. We got 1 lap let in already, securing 5 bonus points. I'm okay with staying behind Truex and letting the 1 car try to lead the way. And what a run. I mean, we saw Tony Raines get a near top 5 last night. He fell behind on that last restart, still ended up finishing pretty high up in the running order with a top 10. And I'm sure Greg Biffle would like to get back up in contention in this race as well, when you consider the fact that he was one of the favorites all throughout the race yesterday. Unfortunately, couldn't get the race win. Had a nearly 2-second lead at the time of that last caution with 5 to go, which set up a green-white checker finish, and he lost the lead getting into turn 1 to Kurt Busch. A single-file restart on a longer track like Fontana probably had for Biffle being a sitting duck. Jimmy Johnson not going anywhere, and a great job by Johnson over the last handful of races, getting his top 10 finishes. He is still not finished outside the top 10 this year. Martin does lead in points with 5 wins versus Johnson's 1, but it's just an 88-point lead between these two, and that was the first race Martin had not finished in the top 10 last night as well. I will say the dirty air behind the 1, it feels like the car is definitely tighter as well, which I'm definitely liking the handling as a result. I'm perfectly okay with riding like this. There is an incentive to lead the most laps, but not right now. Because we don't even know what this car is going to handle like on like 50-lap old tires yet. And I'm kind of scared to find out, honestly. I'm also scared if I lose track position in this race, because luckily we've been at the front of the field, or towards the front at least. Obviously not in front, leading, but here we are in second. We're towards the front. If I put myself back in traffic with how loose this car is, it ain't going to end well. I'll tell you that much. This is going to be a sketchy 500 miles. It's very light down the straightaways, but it's very loose off the exit of the corner. How flat the straightaways are versus how much banking's at this racetrack. And it definitely seems to get more loose off turn 2 than turn 4, I've noticed. Man, I don't like running the top with how loose this thing is. There's such little room for error up near the wall. Martin pushing on. The 1 and the 6 starting to pull away a little bit. Not to mention, we finished 2 laps down in 23rd last night. Really see Martin's right rear tire flailing out quite a bit that time off turn 2. I'm almost feeling like this is like a Daytona or Talladega race, just in how I'm trying to stay behind him in the middle of the corner, because it's kind of tightening the car up just enough to be able to carry as much speed as I am off the exit. It just stinks because he's running that middle to upper groove. Get into the clean air, this thing just gets too loose. Corey Freak, Derek Booth, thanks for tuning in. Mark Martin on the inside of Truex, going to let him go quite a bit into turn 1 there. Mark had positioning on him but didn't want to risk it, even though Truex gave him quite a bit of room. It's good to see that patience with both of these drivers really at the front of the field. Part of why they're having this early success that they are. Man, got a little loose off turn 4 again there. This is a handful. I mean, if we can make it to the end of this first run and get that adjustment on the race car, that's going to be huge for us. Cannot believe how loose this race car is. I'll tell you what, guys, this is difficult. Oh my goodness. Ugh. So much fishtailing going on. The wall scrape off turn 4 that time. Just a light scrape. Didn't kill the car, so that's good. Keep it down in the grip on the bottom. It's not as bad. Oh man, that time I got loose in. It's probably the first time I've gotten loose getting into the corner. I haven't even looked at the chat in like 6 laps. I can't. I really can't. This is maybe the most difficult drive I've had from a handling standpoint in the Cup Series on this game. Milwaukee in the Truck Series is pretty rough, but this one probably takes the cake. Halfway through the field run, lap 35, we had that caution at lap 4. Big wreck, and of course J.J. Yaley flipping in the infield grass. Contact with the 147 car. Robbie Gordon got a big piece of that incident as well. A few other cars are probably also with some damage. We haven't seen a caution in the fallout of that at this point. Skady all over the place. I mean, if I had somebody right on my back bumper taking the air off of me too, that would make things so much more worse than what they are right now. Loose is fast if you can hang on to it. We're hanging on to it to this point in the run somehow. Had a chance to get under him off turn 4. I lifted quite a bit there. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today now. Backed that corner up quite a bit that time. Oh man, this is a handful. I'm gonna start working up a sweat here in a moment. I haven't yet somehow, but the fact that we made it 39 laps, as sketchy as the car is, we haven't had a massive loose moment. I'm burping the throttle quite a bit in the middle of the corner too. most of the way through the first half of that corner. Really on both ends of the track. If I feel it starts to get a little bit loose on exit, I'm kind of letting it, not really touching the analog stick at all, and it kind of straightens itself out, which I can afford to do in this situation with nobody directly on my tail. If we have more traffic we were dealing with behind us, and it would be more difficult at that point. But like I said, 500-mile race. No problem with myself doing this in the early going. Definitely in a rhythm right now, I'll tell you that much. 29.562 that last lap. I'm not sure what my fastest lap of the race is, but that was definitely up there. Both these two at the front of the field running some bad fast lap times. Oh boy. Oh man. Wiggled quite a bit in the middle of the corner that time. Just let it go up the track and didn't overcorrect it. Blocked quite a bit going into turn one there. That's what I'm scared for too. I mean, he was giving me a lot of room early. And with how loose the car is, it's not going to take much contact to spin this thing out. So we just got to not make contact at all, really. Amazing how close we are to him. I mean, I'm definitely not pushing 100%, but if I did try to push 100%, I feel like I'd wreck. Widened his entry off quite a bit that time into 1 and 2. Surprised we don't have any of our tires in the yellow on the tire wear indicator yet. I feel like we should be getting pretty close to that. Speaking of getting close, I don't think we're too far away from lap traffic for the first time in this race either. Car still looks loose. Oh, definitely. Oh, boy. Exhibit A. It's still loose. Oh, my goodness. Flipped that white line, and I thought that was gonna turn me. Definitely grabbed and pulled the car a little bit. Surprised I didn't lose more momentum. We have to make sure we don't have those massive moments where the rear tires are like really doing a lot of work, because then we're gonna get even looser and looser and looser more rapidly. slight instances early in the run. Lap 50 right now. Mark could go probably just under 70 laps on a full tank of fuel. Quarter of a tank of gas left at this point in the run, lap 51. Oh man, got loose in again. Just trying to stay off that analog stick as much as I could. I'm honestly scared to make any adjustments. Like this first run, knowing we have this track position, we're so far ahead of everybody else that I don't think we're in danger of losing any positions during green flag pit stops. Lose as fast if he can hang on to it. We're hanging on to it right now. I don't think I'd go all 500 miles racing like this. I'll be exhausted quick. Early in the race, while my mind's working, my reflexes are up. As I start to get tired later in the race, from a mental capability that I might have to back off a bit a little bit. Mark Church Jr. coming up on a teammate, Paul Menard in the 15 car. Mark easily cleared the turn 3 on that 15 car. And Menard will be in the free pass position for right now. Slight moment there off turn 2 again. Got a little wobbly. Rainer Martinez also welcome into the stream. Amazing how quickly these two pulled away from Paul Menard already. About an eighth of a tank of gas left at this point in the run, lap 58. Our race leader, Mark Martin. I don't think it's going to be wise to go all the way to lap like 68, 69, 70. I don't know if we're going to make it that far into the run. We'll still stay out for right now. Looks like Dave Blaney, I believe, is the next lap car up ahead. Truex and Martin will probably catch you here shortly. Truex about a half a lane off the bottom. that time off turn 4. And we do have green flag pit stops going on right now. Quite a few cars on their way in. Slight wall tag off of turn 4 for Mark Martin as well, as he sits behind Martin Truex Jr. still. That right front tire in the yellow and the tire wear indicator, I think that's what caused him to go a bit wide into the wall that time off turn 4. And we will wait and see exactly when Martin Truex Jr. will pit. It doesn't look like he'll pit this time by either. Neither will Mark Martin. Martin just staying in line right behind him. Loose getting into 1 that time for Martin. We pushed him pretty far to the end of this run. Stellar job here these first 62 laps. We're just a few laps away from fresh tires, and I mean, the car was very loose at the beginning of the run, but it will help. Let's get fresh tires back on this bad boy again. Sorensen coming into the pits. Truex Martin continue to stay out. Lap 63 at the line. Our teammate Greg Biffle is in. Don't believe Martin Truex Jr. will be coming in this time either. Our side by side up there a little bit. A lot of room on the bottom with that 147, not giving Sterling Marlin a whole lot of room there. Off turn 4, still door to door. Truex and Martin are definitely closing in on both of them. Lap 65 at the line. Truex not really going to have anywhere to go here. Mark Martin to the bottom of the racetrack, 3 wide. Late in the run, clear, barely, was Mark Martin off of turn 2 that time. Martin to the race lead, goes up the hill, Truex on his way into the pits. Mark Martin stays out, making an official lead change at the line. Mark Martin will pit this time by, so he passed Truex as soon as he got by the 1 car. Truex came into the pits. Left front starting to go away on the 6 car, and because there was no practice, it's going to be our first attempt at a live pit stop here under green flag pit stops, lap 66. Mark Martin will pit this time by. Coming in. That was as clean of a pit road entry as I could have had. We're not going to make any adjustments here. 4 tires and fuel for Mark Martin. Pits 1 lap after Martin Truex Jr. And we made it through the first run. My goodness. Hallelujah. Our first break since the lap 4 caution. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no adjustments this time around. Looks like a clean stop on the 16. Great job. 15.5, 15.4, somewhere around there. Martin working his way back up onto the racetrack. And it looks like he is the leader. So Mark Martin with the lead over Martin Truex Jr., and that was even with pitting a lap after Truex. Great stop by that 16 to get themselves out in front. It was a phenomenal job, really. Mark Martin retains the lead through green flag stops. He took it right before Truex had a chance to get there. And Martin trying to get by the 145 now, just ran his fastest lap, 29.360. And he'll get by the 145 car, put him a lap down through turns 1 and 2. See, now we've got the clean air. Really the first time today. This is big. Because this is going to allow me to catch up to Truex that laps leg category, because he led the majority of that first run, obviously. So we're going to have to lead the majority of the second run just to catch back up to him in the laps leg category early in this race. I will make the call to make an adjustment change at some point. It's just when am I going to pull the trigger on it. I'm glad I didn't right there, because like I said, it's fast. If I can just hang on to it. Earl Arnold Jr., thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we're pulling him. Caught those two lap cars side by side right before green flag pit stops, and that has really been the difference maker here. About a 1.2 second lead for Martin at the start finish line that last time by. And he's running the fastest laps of anybody on the track. Two-tenths quicker than Truex that last lap. I wonder if Truex is going to be able to hold on to that second place position over the course of this run now that he's not leading anymore. I wonder if one of the Hendrick cars of Johnson or Gordon may catch him. Why no Throwback Thursday? I definitely will get back to that. The hope is next week to get back to the Throwback Thursdays. A lot of it, I just don't have the camera where I want it to be right now. And I feel like I would have more of a chance of getting copyrighted for the Throwback Thursday streams without a camera. I mean, there would still be my commentary over it, but you guys wouldn't see me, so it just wouldn't be as what it was before. Martin's got the positioning. Oh, drove it in really deep. Trying to get by that next lap car, and he was able to do it. Back to having more clean air on the nose. He got stuck behind that car for about a lap and a half or so. Truck's about a tenth quicker than Martin that last lap. Some of it was probably trying to pass that 133 though. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's tough for me to look at the chat. I was trying to right there. Made a slight mistake. Lost about another tenth of my lead. Can't be doing that. I don't want to have major loose moments. That's only going to hurt me later in the run. Don't want that lap car to get right on my back bumper and take the air off of it as well. 325, it's a lot. It is a lot of laps. 500-mile race. Traditional for Atlanta, for both Atlanta races. And they running at this time period. To a 1.6 second lead again. I wonder, as we start to get looser and looser and looser over the course of the run like we did that first run, if we'll start losing time to Truex. We'll maybe be a little bit better in the back half of the run. And as well, if Mark Martin starts to hit more lap traffic. So he's hit a lap car here and there, but hasn't had like a ton of lap traffic to work through so far. Coming up on a few more. 2 cars, small break, 2 more cars. It could be interesting when the 6 gets up to those drivers up ahead of him. Waste any time trying to get by this first lap car of the 4 that are in the picture around the race leader. A little loose off turn 2. He's got the positioning on this 177. And tightly in the middle of the corner, but Martin will pull clear. Quickly to the inside of the 143. 143 car is going to give Mark a lot more room. He got through those first 3 lap cars pretty easily. 123 might be a little bit more difficult. Yeah, they definitely run you tightly in the corner, force you to not make a mistake. One small mistake can turn into a big mistake quickly. But Martin got past all 4 of them. And all with clean passes, which was good to see. Kyle Petty, the next lap car up ahead. All by himself up there. Full focus on. Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. Kyle Petty giving Mark Martin a ton of room here, almost too much room. Martin clear off turn 2. Had a lot of room. Martin was still trying to stay hooked to that white line. So we pitted at lap 66, which would have been about 63 laps on a full tank of gas under green flag conditions. Again, we had a caution at lap 4. Two cars in the middle of the pack involved in it. Once again, it has been 6 races since Mark Martin has won, despite having 5 wins on the season. I know that's not an extremely long winless streak, but considering how early we are in the year and how great of a start it was, definitely have taken a step back just the last 2 races alone to allow Johnson to get back to 88 points out of first when we did have about a 200-point lead. 2 lap down, finishing 23rd last night at California definitely did not help. Martin trying to take a massive step forward today, and he's off to a good start. They're starting out on the pole, and now having a 2.2 second lead, his largest of the race. It feels nicer that I'm able to push just a little bit harder with the clean air, though. A little loose in that time, getting into 3. It just went straight that white line. A little quicker than I wanted it to. Running pretty similar lap times to that of Truex in second. Our next race will be at Sonoma, and that will be the first road course race. Or sorry, rather the second road course race of our custom schedule season. We ran at Watkins Glen already. Ryan Newman got the win in that one. And we ended up finishing 3rd with Mark Martin. Patrick Chatterley, thanks for tuning in also. Appreciate that comment, by the way, the new channel logo. So it sounds like Dale Jarrett, who blew an engine earlier in the race, is going to be coming back out. I didn't realize he blew an engine. He did blow a motor in the race at California yesterday in the second half as well. So back-to-back races with an engine failure for Jarrett. Tough break for the former NASCAR Cup champ. To watch out for him then. Hopefully he gives us plenty of room, because we're going to need it. How edgy this car can be. We only gained a 1/10 of a second on Truex in the last probably, what, 6 to 8 laps? I mean, we're very, very close on speed with him. I could push a little bit harder just because I'm in the clean air now. And there's nobody really directly around me. I'm glad that there isn't that many lap cars way up in front, because I feel like later into this run when I pass lap cars, if they hang on that back bumper just a little bit too long, I could be in danger of getting aero loose and at risk of spinning out. Definitely need this to stay green as long as possible, stay spread apart. The minute we get a caution, a bunch of the field back together again, I do not feel comfortable at all. Picture was good under green flag conditions too, which definitely helps. Looks like Robbie Gordon in the number 7 will be the next car up ahead. He's the last car in the lead lap right now. So halfway I feel at this point in the run. about 33 laps after pitting. It's lap 100 now for Mark Martin. Robbie Gordon going to give Mark Martin a lot of room that time through turns 3 and 4. Quick clearance for Martin on that 7 car. I think the next lap car will be Dale Jarrett in the 88, which will probably be catching every 7 to 8 laps or so, give or take. Definitely tell Jarrett slow down on the bottom of the racetrack. Going to catch him on the front stretch. Made for an easy pass. So hold up Robbie Gordon just a little bit more, giving more space between the 6 and the 7. I'm curious to see how much he's going to slow up Truex back there in second at all. Does seem to have a larger pack behind him. I almost wonder if there's other cars that are quicker than both the 6 and the 1 at the front of the field. Johnson and Gordon may be catching up, or even somebody else that was really in contention of leading laps early. 3.3 second lead at the line that last time. Largest of the day for Mark Martin here on lap 103 of 325 in the Golden Corral 500. True Assassin 86X, thanks for tuning in. Long ways to go, though, in this 500-mile race. Anything can happen. We've got an edgier car, edgier setup. Went aggressive with the setup in this one. And so far, it's working out for ourselves. Despite not really leading at all that first run. We led 2 laps in that first field run of the race in the first 66 laps. Came on the pit road, cycled out with the lead following pit stops. And have really been able to kind of push a little harder now without risk of losing control of the car with having the clean air advantage, and it's really helped. Allowed us to stretch this lead out just a bit. I just didn't feel confident trying to battle Truex with how loose of a car we had early. Still have that same loose car now, but we were taking care of the tires a lot earlier in this run than what we did to kind of fend those guys off and stay in second behind Truex before we started pulling away about 20 plus laps into the race from everybody else behind us. So we might have burnt the tires up earlier in the run, which didn't help us as much at the end of the run, and why I didn't want to really pass Truex until we did when he had side-by-side lap cars in front of him. That's when we passed him, led a couple, and then pitted. We're about 2/10 slower than the second place car that last lap. We're really not that far away from having green flag pit stops for the second time. And about lap 130 is as far as Martin can go, and we saw a lot of other drivers pit before Mark. Mark was actually the last driver, one of the last few drivers into pit road during that first set of stops at lap 66. So that may be the case again here, right around lap 130 or so. to lap 110 for right now. Dale Jarrett will be the next lap car we'll end up catching. Slowing up a few other drivers, it looked like, off turn 4 that time. 3-second lead into turn 1. Martin to the outside of the racetrack to get by Jarrett in the 88. Well, passed him pretty cleanly again. Definitely slowed those other drivers down a little bit more. 2.8 second lead. Martin definitely not as quick in the back half of the run. See how much Jarrett's going to slow those cars down for position behind Martin, though, at the start-finish line this time. We'll see if he maybe has opened it back up to 3.4 seconds or more again. About 3.2. Hoping to back up a little bit more. 0.6 quicker than second place that last lap. Definitely be a game of where we catch Dale Jarrett, how quickly we can get around him. There's 4 more lap cars coming up in front of Mark Martin. Martin is running down into turn 1. Probably not going to have any sort of a chance to get to these guys. Sterling Marlin, Scott Riggs, Jeff Burton, and if I had to guess, probably a fantasy driver down at the bottom behind Marlin. Jeff Burton going a bit wide. His former teammate Mark Martin underneath him. Burton will go a lap down. These guys all going to have to battle for that free pass position. In case we were to see that second caution come out in the not so distant future. Burton quickly followed behind the 3 cars that just passed him. Scott Riggs going to go wide. Give plenty of room for Mark Martin. Martin underneath him on the backstretch. Get by the 10. Marlin picking up a spot. I think this is the 199 car, so definitely a fantasy driver. So now Scott Riggs has the free pass position. Marlin going wide. 199 car underneath him. Martin's got nowhere to go. He boxed in behind the 199 into turns 3 and 4. Gets by Sterling Marlin. Martin down low off turn 4. Trying to side draft that 199 just a little bit. Big dive into turn 1, but Martin couldn't stay underneath him. Martin definitely getting held up. Alright. This time we'll be able to stay underneath him into turn 1 and we'll make the pass. Put up a fight trying to stay on the lead lap. Lasted for about a little over a lap. Martin finally was able to lap him. Sterling Marlin trying to get this free pass position back now. If these guys short pit on the 6, they may cycle out in front of him. Get back on the lead lap temporarily. You might as well think about doing that in this situation now that you're already a lap down. Dale Jarrett will be the next lap car. Got to catch him on the back straightaway this time. Jarrett will stay wide. Marlin got by that 199 car, cuts to the bottom, gets by. We've got some cars coming onto pit road this time. David Stremme, last car on the lead lap on his way in. A couple others as well in front of him on pit road as we speak. So just like that, we will have our second set of green flag pit stops starting up at lap 121. Honestly, with the clean air again, I don't think there's any need to make another adjustment. I say that like I have made one so far. I haven't. The only risk that puts us in is later if we do have to make an adjustment, not knowing exactly how far we can push it. To try to tighten it up a little bit and still be fast. I mean, this run felt a lot better than the first one, I will say. It's a combination of getting more familiar with the race car the more laps we run, now that we're over 100 in, and the fact that we took care of our tires a lot better this time, not having to battle for position like we did in the first one through the entirety of it. Pushing to kind of stay with Truex, pushing to make sure we got back to second after spinning the tires off the start and the restart. Fell back to about sixth. Starting to go a little bit on the 6 car. This point in the run again. Probably going to look to pit at lap 129. So lap 129 will be the scheduled pit stop for Mark Martin. Even if other drivers behind him will pit earlier. Jay Yaley, Dave Blaney coming out of the pits on the bottom of the track. Loose getting down into 3. Oh, somebody blowing up. That 123 car has blown an engine. Mark Martin came into this race today having to lead 224 laps, or sorry, 214 laps to get to 1,000 laps led on the season here in these first 12 races. So leading as much as he is in the early going of this one, that could be a possibility of eclipsing that mark here tonight. And if he doesn't tonight, we'll try again next week at Sonoma. Two more laps until Martin pits. 123 was able to get on the pit road. All 3 Roush cars on pit road other than the 6 right now. Martin wanted no risk of short pitting in case we got a caution in the middle of green flag stops, which happened not once but twice in last night's race in California. Murray, 26 car, trying to work his way off of pit road. Top of the racetrack right now. Martin clears him. Dale Jarrett going to stay wide. Martin going to stay out one more lap. Jeremy Mayfield coming into the pits now. Martin will go to lap 130 here. Martin and McMurray all over the back bumper of the 6. Martin will be coming into the pits this time by. He had a perfect pit road entry that first time around. Speeding too much. That is a pit road speeding penalty for Mark Martin. He timed it perfect the first time and came in a little too hot the second. That is the second race in a row he has had an issue trying to get to the pits. He missed pit road last night in California, which cost him a ton of positions, and never got back up in contention in the top 10 again the rest of the race. And now a pit road speeding penalty and what was about a 4.4 second lead during that run, and he's going to be lucky to come out with the lead with this 5-second penalty. Quick stop again. I mean, back to a 15-second right around there pit stop. That's tough. We're probably going to lose the lead. Definitely allowed for more drivers to get back on the lead lap. Ryan Newman to the lead. First time today. Not sure what happened to Martin Truex Jr. Jeff Gordon's in second. Dale Jarrett's slowing those guys up just a little bit. Mark Martin in third. Jimmy Johnson fourth. Martin going to get around Jarrett that time. Dang. Stinks to lose the lead like that. So Newman out in front, Jeff Gordon in P2, and Mark Martin in third following green flag pit stops. Pit road speeding penalty got us. I mean, we would have been about 4 seconds ahead of him again. So it's about where we were going into the pits. Now that clean air loss for Mark Martin. These are the first laps Ryan Newman's been able to lead today. And Jeff Gordon now underneath the 12th car, looking for the lead in turns 1 and 2. 199, Sterling Marlin right behind both of them, trying to get the free pass position between the two of them. And so Jeff Gordon now to the race lead. Led at the very start. First time he has led since Truex took the lead from him. Martin just ran his fastest lap of the day, 29.184. Newman quickly losing time to Gordon. Martin to the inside of the 12 car into turns 3 and 4. Got a little loose in. Pushed really hard trying to get underneath him. Newman tried not to get picked behind the lap car. He really didn't. Kind of threaded that middle lane into the corner. Martin ran another fastest lap of the race. So with Jeff Gordon being the rival right now, I'm not going to have any incentive to try and pass him. Got to take care of the tires during this run. Got to take care of the race car. We've led a lot more laps than Gordon at least, so still feel confident in most laps led battle. The way things are looking. And the way we run currently. 29.111 that last lap. Colton Hart about to be the first driver to go 2 laps down. Scooting Dale Jarrett, who's many more laps down than that after coming back into the race after an earlier engine problem. At least Ryan Newman was able to cycle to the lead and get a couple laps led because he has no match for Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin following the green flag stops. Newman must have been one of the first cars on the pit road, and that's how he cycled ahead as much as he ended up actually doing. Continues to draft behind Gordon. Gordon checking up a little bit with the hands of Dale Jarrett right in front of him. And Martin had to check up to keep it off the back of the 24 car himself there. Heads up play there by Martin, not running into the back of the 24. Dave Blaney's about to go 2 laps down. Like Denny Hamlin in the 11 for Joe Gibbs Racing, last car in the lead lap. We'll take our first field pass of the race today. While we ride in second for now, and we'll drive as Jamie McMurray for a little bit in the 26 car. McMurray in the 19th place position. Haven't really seen any of the other Roush Fenway Fords in this race yet. I think they're all on the lead lap. Murray's car feels a little bit on the free side as well. Massive run for McMurray on both Tony Raines and Brian Vickers. Both passes for position there for McMurray. He'll be coming up on Dale Jarrett next. Raines crossing over Vickers right now off turn 2. They'll be door to door, and it looks like Raines will have the position. Murray blows by Jarrett in the 88. Jeff Gordon continues to lead this race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway as we're in the middle going. Not quite to the halfway mark yet. We'll be getting there in a little less than 20 laps from now. McMurray 22.7 seconds behind race leader Jeff Gordon. Murray in the top 10 in points there for a while. 3 straight finishes outside the top 10 have dropped him back in the standings just a bit. Big run for Jamie Mack, 3 wide into 3 and 4. Big dive, and he ended up into the wall as he overdrove the corner quite substantially. I do think the car's all right though. Thought that was going to end up worse than what it was. We haven't had a caution in a while. Both the cars he tried to pass were already a lap down. Definitely shouldn't have went for it that aggressively like he did. Pass him cleanly in the next half a lap. Hopefully that didn't hurt the 26 car too much. And now we will swap to Matt Kenseth in the 17. Kenseth sits in the 9th place position. He's 12 seconds off the race lead. And in the 9th place spot, so just inside the top 10 is Matt Kenseth. Big block by the lap car. Robbie Gordon getting into turn 1. Kenseth looking for a way around him. Big block there by Robbie off turn 2. Kenseth clears Robbie into the corner. Stuck behind him a little too long, it appeared. I think Jeff Green's in 10th. Had a very solid start to the season, although a little bit lackluster as of late, kind of similar to McMurray. McMurray, far better equipment though at Roush, especially at this time period. Green had 2 or 3 top 10s those first 6 races. Not much sense in the most recent 6. Well, 2 more laps with Kenseth and then we'll swap to Greg Biffle. Jarrett will be the next lap car up ahead. I believe Elliott Sadler is on the lead lap. Kenseth follows the 38, get by Sadler's teammate there. Jeff Burton now trying to pass the lap car, or I should say Kurt Busch trying to pass the lap car to Jeff Burton. One more lap with Kenseth here as he looks to the inside of Sadler. Sadler threw a big block. Kenseth lifted, got a little loose there. Wasn't expecting the 38 to chop down that aggressively. I'm glad that Kenseth's got a better handling car than that of McMurray and Martin. Well, it's better handling. It's probably not as quick as a result. Why he's a little bit further back in the running order. So now we go to the Biff. As he rides in the 6th place position. That was not me, by the way. I had no control of the car there. It was about 7.9 seconds off the lead. Well, we definitely know Martin Truex Jr. is a spot for Greg Biffle. This can move the Biff into the top 5. Oh, big block there by Martin Truex Jr. Line entry getting into the corner. To the inside of the 1. And now he'll make that pass for 5th. We will swap back to Mark Martin at the start-finish line this time by. So Jimmy Johnson in 4th just up ahead. The Biffle is starting to close in on him. as well at this point. It looks like Mark Martin actually leads right now over Jeff Gordon at the front of the field. Getting through the lap traffic slightly better seems to be for Mark Martin right now. So we are found with Martin back out in front once again. So we'll see if he can keep this half a second lead over Jeff Gordon. Martin had a nearly 4.5 second lead, but that pit road speeding penalty had actually dropped him to third. Just took the lead away a couple laps ago from Gordon. Last pit at lap 130, so it took him about 27, 28 laps to get back to the lead. Finally getting by Casey Kane back there. Trying to stay in touch of the 6. Probably around lap 195 is where we'll see Mark Martin pit next. J.J. Yaley, who flipped earlier, still in this race in that 18 car. Have to lose a lap. Mark Martin looking to get underneath him. Into turn 1 for Mark. Inside, he does complete the pass, though. There's a car who has been back on pit road for a little while. I almost wonder if it's Dale Jarrett because we haven't seen that 88 car in a minute. Martin trying to get by the 42, Casey Mears. Mears not letting the 6 get around. He's definitely holding Martin up. I do think Dale Jarrett might still be in this race. I think he's just up ahead. Mark Martin finally to the inside of the 42 car, down into turn 1. Just squeezed under Dale Jarrett on the bottom. There wasn't much room to do that. Jarrett almost squeezed Mears into the wall off turn 2 on the outside. Jeff Gordon going to get stacked up behind both cars. Never mind on Jarrett being back out of the race again. He is still in it. And definitely holding up Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin's going to grow that race lead out to 1.2 seconds over the 24. Vickers was inside the top 20 when we were driving as McMurray. So he's probably around 18th, 19th place. So over half the field has been lapped already. Very long green flag run going on right now. We last went green at lap 7 after a lap 4 big crash off turn 4. No other cautions in this race other than that one wreck. And it has led to this drawn out green flag run where we've seen 2 green flag pit stops already. Obviously nobody pitted during that early yellow lap 4 considering it was so early in the race. Mark Martin definitely has to make sure he doesn't speed on pit road again. Lost the lead once doing that. Definitely doesn't want to afford to lose the lead again. Just over 20 laps away from Martin making another pit stop. And we're going to be shooting for lap 195 and being that next target lap to hit the pits. Once Gordon got held up and that 0.6 of a second lead roughly went away, there is no looking back. Quite a big pack of lap cars though, just ahead of the 6 car of Mark Martin. 3 wide, nearly off turn 4. 143 car nearly squeezed into the wall by the 133 underneath him. Almost contact with the 109 who was aggressively side drafted. Contact into turn 1. My goodness. Definitely a heap of traffic. Mark Martin can't get his way out of it. Has the inside lane into turn 1. As he makes his way through. Coming up on Dale Jarrett now. Big run into turn 3. Martin got squeezed by the 177. A lot of contact with him. And then he got tagged in the left rear off the exit of the corner trying to get his momentum back. Dark Crypto, thanks for tuning in. Ay, ay, ay. Now making more mistakes. 3 wide behind us. Car on pit road that time, lap 179. I got into the wall. I was looking at the chat. Middle of the corner, I messed up. That's the first time I've scraped the wall in a while. I think Jeff Gordon already pitted. He is definitely short pit. Lap traffic definitely not cooperating with Mark Martin, but he's made some mistakes later in this run as well. And honestly, all the lap traffic he's dealing with later in the run, and Jeff Gordon already short pitting, as well as whoever was in third, is already short pitted as well. Not looking good here for Mark Martin. I'm trying to maintain this lead following our third set of green flag stops. The fact I've made it 3 full runs without making an adjustment to this race car in this one, probably more of a testament to my driving abilities more than anything. Still staying very much involved. We're still going to have to go about 10 more laps to really try to push this run out. Back to the inside of Mears again. Second time during this run, he's going to try to pass him. A little loose off turn 2 that time. Martin will complete the pass in the middle of 3 and 4. Mark Martin starting to dominate in the lap sled category of this one. Definitely battling loose conditions with the race car throughout most of it, but it's been battle tested and staying out in front. There's going to be, a just under 15 lap difference between when Jeff Gordon pitted and when Mark Martin pitted this time. Gordon definitely pitted much shorter into this run. Mears comes into the pits, so no major traffic around the 6 anymore. Gonna blow around Dale Jarrett. The car's getting out to speed after leaving pit road of Dave Blaney and Kevin Harvick. Kenseth on his way into the pits. Honestly, I might even be able to go a little further than lap 195 before pitting. I feel like I managed fuel a little better on this fuel run than what I was earlier in the race. This first couple. Should go to lap 196, 197, somewhere around there before pitting. By Menard again. Greg Biffle, we mentioned, was already on pit road. Looks like Jamie McMurray on his way in right now as well. And we know every lap we go further, more of a chance Jeff Gordon's going to come out with the lead, but there's a chance of making this race on one less stop than everybody else with that early caution coming out the way it did, if Mark Martin can manage his fuel well enough. Could be possible. Contact between Robbie Gordon and his former car there with Jeff Burton's driving in the 31. Showing Mark Martin with a one-lap lead, but again, he has not made his third stop of the race yet. It's been 64 laps since Martin has pitted. It's gone as far as 66 laps in this race. I'm getting by Robbie Gordon. And then Jeff Burton into turn 1. We're going to pit at lap 197. So lap 197 will be the stretch for Mark Martin. It'll be a 67 lap run. A couple more miles to go before pitting. So we will pit this time by. 67 laps is as far as Martin's gone on a full tank in the race. Let's go one more. It's going to be risking it, but let's go one more. Up 198, this will be a 68 lap run now for Mark Martin. Really pushing it on a mile and a half to go, 68 laps on fuel, but it's working out for him right now. I'm definitely pitting this time. Quite a bit of a stretch. We'll lead this lap at the start-finish line on pit road as well before Jeff Gordon could potentially try to take the race lead once again. Martin coming in, trying not to speed like he did the last time, and he did not. A little squirrely coming up off the banking of the racetrack onto the flatness of the apron, but 4 tires and fuel and no adjustments for Mark Martin. And he made sure he did not speed like he did in the second pit stop of the race. Alright, 199 coming up out of pit road. Here comes Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin getting up to speed right now. Gordon to the lead. Martin still trying to get his speed back. It's going to be close as of the start-finish line this time. Who's going to be leading? Martin underneath the 24 at the start-finish line. Mark Martin did lead that lap. And we are side by side for the race lead. A 2-second gap got closed with Jeff Gordon pitting quite a bit earlier than Martin. Martin squeezes the 24 car up the hill, trying to hang on to the lead, and Mark is going to be able to do so for right now. What a drive. So made it to lap 198. I mean, there's a chance Mark Martin can make this on 4 stops. We didn't have that early caution with the 3 caution laps. I don't know if it'd be even a question, but Mark Martin's definitely gone longer on fuel these last couple of runs, especially that run. Going 68 laps. Furthest he went before was 66, 63 and 66. Then he went 68 as far as green flag laps go. Tony Raines kind of still in the way of Jeff Gordon here, who is a somewhat tight battle with Mark Martin. Raines going to get in the way of that 24 again. Tony is the first car 1 lap down. A lot of clean air in front of Mark Martin for the time being. Jeff Gordon looking to get right back around him again. You can definitely tell it feels like the track conditions have changed a lot, because I don't feel my car is as loose as what it was early in the race. It still feels just as quick as it was. To me, at least. Jeff Gordon dealing with Tony Raines, obviously, right now as they continue to go back and forth, but Martin having a good impact on situations right now. And it's not impossible that he can make this race on just 1 more stop. It would definitely be something if he could do that. I mean, just to get the 60 laps to go. Somebody blowing up on the apron. Scott Riggs in the 10 car, trying to get back to pit road under heavy smoke. Jeff Gordon has closed that gap. He stopped battling Tony Raines and he started to reel Mark Martin back in again, slowly but surely. And we'll see if he can maybe mount a charge to take this race lead away from Mark. If he could force him to get a little aero loose earlier in the run, that could burn Martin's tires off for later in the run. Closing in on Dale Jarrett. Raines back to the inside of that 24 again. Off turn 4 this time. Martin just got enough turn out of the car off turn 4 to get to the inside of Jarrett. Raines going to get by the 88 pretty quickly, but Jeff Gordon did not. And Martin's back out to about an 0.8 of a second lead over Gordon. That is definitely enough gap. Gordon remains in second, but Mark Martin's out ahead a little bit more again. Probably backed the corner up just a little bit too much that time. Still getting a bit loose off turn 2, though. Tell you what, Tony Raines putting up a fight right now with the 6 and the 24. He's holding up Gordon for a while. Now he's going to start to hold up Mark Martin. Gordon 3/10 quicker than Martin that last lap after Raines gets by the 6 car. And now he's right in line in front of Mark in the dirty air pocket. Not sure exactly where the speed out of the 96 came from. Gordon another 10th quicker than Martin that last lap. Martin not really close enough to try to mount a charge and pass this 96 as well. Another lap car, Dave Blaney, was already 2 laps down. About to go a 3rd down. If he gets in the way of the 96 a little bit, that could really hold Martin up. Jeff Gordon might be there for the race lead. Pretty even the last lap and a half or so for the 6 and the 24. Raines to the inside of Blaney. Raines came up off the bottom a little bit. Martin closes the gap. And both of them cleared Blaney cleanly through turns 1 and 2, which was good for Martin. Martin dives to the bottom, got a bit loose, and made contact with Raines. Definitely an overdrive there by Martin as he got underneath the 96 again. Be careful not to burn these tires off, but he's struggling right now with this lap car. He got by the slower lap car, but Raines just has enough speed. Coming off that top 10 at California last night. It'll be tough for him to get a top 10 today, but you just never know. NASCAR Vintage 17, thanks for tuning in. Raines just gapping Martin a little bit. I wonder he was so fast trying to keep up with Jeff and Mark. I mean, honestly, might even be quicker than him. Some adjustments have been made. The DLP team. Jeff Gordon went a bit wide. Last corner. Martin a little loose, getting into 3. Martin trying to get by Menard. And does. Kyle Busch getting held up by Dale Jarrett quite a bit off turn 2. Martin going to use Jarrett as a pick to get back by Tony Raines. Now Kyle Busch is the last car in the lead lap in the number 5. Martin to the inside of Busch through turns 3 and 4. Martin got a little loose off turn 4 that time. He was definitely battling Tony Raines maybe a little too much early in the run. 6 car slipping up in the corners just a little bit more than he was. Raines is clear on Busch, and now Kyle Busch is in the free pass position. Tony Raines going to have to get back around him. Mercury, thanks for tuning in also. Kyle Busch hanging on that back bumper of Mark Martin. If he races him hard enough, he knows his teammate's in second. Desperation right now from Kyle Busch trying to get back on the lead lap. We started seeing green flag pit stops lap 179, so we are just over 40 laps into the run for quite a few of these drivers. We can see pit stops starting to open back up again in about another 20 laps or so. Only space to field out even more. Mark Martin's pretty much dominated so far, but just an 0.8 of a second lead over Jeff Gordon. And we still have just over 100 laps to go in this race as well, so there's still a lot that could happen. It's a 1 to 2 stop race to the end, 2 for most of the field. Mark Martin going to try to make this one less stop. Not impossible. He last pitted lap 198. He went 68 laps that last run. And he has gone at least 63 laps each run, so if he just goes to lap, if we get to lap 265, there'd be 60 to go, and that would be a 67 lap run. If we went a couple laps short of that, like 65 laps, we would be looking at having to go 67. Yeah, so I mean, we're probably going to have to go about 66 laps per run to be able to make it, which isn't impossible. We stretched it that far a couple times. It's really going to be dictating on how far we take this first run, though. It's also a very real chance we could just go fuel only to the end of the race, knowing everybody else is going to have to pit one more time. Martin's really the only one that has the capability of making it just a few laps shorter. If we didn't get that caution, though, we'd be even 3 laps shorter than that, and I just don't think we'd be able to save enough to be able to make it that far. Great testament to this pit crew and what they've been able to do in this race. We still don't know if we're going to get another caution. I mean, we get one more caution in this race, that changes everything. 100 laps to go at Atlanta Motor Speedway, this time by. Mark Martin has dominated. He currently still leads. Jeff Gordon is 0.8 of a second back in second. Actually, it might not even be Gordon in second anymore. It looks like perhaps Ryan Newman is starting to run down the 6 over the course of this run. Jamie McMurray, last car in the lead lap, Martin's teammate. Newman about 0.2 quicker than Martin that last lap. Martin with the deep dive into 1 and 2, gets by Jarrett and McMurray. McMurray now the first car lap down. Ryan Newman gets by those cars pretty quickly. He's going to keep that charge going on top of the 6 car. So how about this? This point in the race, Mark Martin getting ran down by Ryan Newman. And Newman may be looking like the quickest car on the track with just less than 100 to go. Newman trying to get his 3rd win of the season. One of the early season championship competitors, if he can just keep the consistency up. He won at Watkins Glen already this year. And we go to another road course at Sonoma next, so that could be good for Newman as well. So Jeff Gordon's kind of fallen by the wayside over the course of this green flag run. He's now in 3rd. And it is Mark Martin who has just a 0.4 of a second lead over the 12. I think we could end up seeing kind of a hybrid of old Atlanta in the next few years if this current super speedway configuration they have continues to lose grip year after year. which I wouldn't have thought it was going to be that quickly that it would be able to do that. I kind of guessed when they turned it into a super speedway with the configuration of the track and the dimensions of it, before they even raced it the first time. When they said that they were going to basically race it with the super speedway package, I was kind of expecting it to be like an 8 to 10 year window, and then after that it was going to look more like an intermediate track. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I mean, I'm probably looking at like maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe even less than that, with how quickly the track has lost so much grip. Kind of saw that with the Xfinity race in the summer last year too. Hotter, slicker track. Now granted, that race is in the nighttime, same with the Cup race this year, so that might help the conditions a little bit and help the pack racing aspect of it this weekend. Cooler temps at night versus in the day, especially this time of the year, really any state in the U.S., let alone in Georgia. Newman is working that middle to upper groove as well and running down Martin. He's not all the way on the bottom like Mark has been. Martin trying to get by Reed Sorensen. He'll be able to do so. Martin to the inside of Jeff Burton in the 31 as well. Martin going to clear the 31 car. More clean air in front of the 6 for right now. I think Greg Biffle in the 16 car also starting to close in on the leaders. After dominating California in the last race, it was Kurt Busch that got the win on a green-white checker finish, and we'll see for Mark Martin here what could happen. And he doesn't take off well in the restarts. We saw that in California last night. We're seeing it here tonight at Atlanta. We do get a late race restart. I don't think that's going to pan out for Martin. Caution in general, just to ruin the flow of the race, I don't think is going to help the 6 car at all. And we still have 91 laps to go at the line, but Greg Biffle running down he's running down Mark Martin, but he's also running down Ryan Newman, and Newman running down the 6 as well, but the 16 might be the quickest on the track of all of them. I wonder if Newman's going to move down at all into that dirty air if the 16 gets close enough and continues to press. Got to within a few tenths of Mark Martin, but he hasn't been able to get any closer than that. And it'll be interesting to see how these guys get by the 88 of Dale Jarrett coming up. Biffle again through 1 and 2, closing on the 12. 12 moving off the top down to the bottom of the track. Floats the car up the racetrack just a little bit in the middle of the corner. Martin to the inside of Jarrett off turn 4 on the front stretch. Ryan Newman going to run up to the bottom. He'll get by. Biffle closing on the 12 into turn 1. Then about a car length and a half or so. Down on the bottom. All the top 3 cars got by Dale Jarrett pretty easily that time on the front straight. Drove 1 just a little bit, slightly up the hill. Biffle going for second. I'm not sure if that's Biffle. It could actually be Jamie McMurray, who's a lap down. I believe it is McMurray. I was thinking it was Biffle. National Guard colors. It is not. It's Zero and Tools colors of Jamie McMurray. So how about McMurray trying to get back in position here to potentially get back into this race? He's going to battle with Ryan Newman. Martin really loose off turn 4 again. Both getting back by the 26 again. Martin and Newman show in front of the field. Rocket Man pressing forward. Got some cars pitting off turn 4 this time by. 0.3 of a second off the lead. Newman has led a couple laps in the race during green flag pit stops. It was during the second sequence he had cycled into the lead before Gordon took it away from him after Mark Martin had that pit road speeding penalty. Definitely can't afford a pit road speeding penalty again. Bailed out for the first one. You just got to imagine, though, that'd be an extra 5-second gap he'd have on these drivers as of right now. If it wasn't for that penalty, and he would be pretty much dominating even more, but there's other drivers that have been in contention here. I'd be shocked if Jeff Gordon is already pitted to potentially try to cycle his way back in front of the 12. During what is the second to last set of green flag pit stops for everybody pitting right now. Newman is on his way in for 0.3 of a second off the lead behind Martin. He got that close and he couldn't get any closer. The 6 leads. 81 laps to go. We'll loose into turn 1 for Mark Martin that time. Stremme staying to the outside. Martin clears the 40. Third in the 88. Martin did check up a little bit there. Wasn't sure which lane he was going to pick. Started low, then just kind of faded wide at the very last second. The 6 already lifted to try to keep the car down on the bottom because he thought about going to the outside himself. Good thing he didn't. Probably would have ran into the back of him if he did go to the top. Matt Kenseth now on pit road. First of the Roush Fenway Fords to come in this time. 33 car down on the bottom as Martin tries to get up to speed into the corner. He'll clear him. So we'll get back down to the bottom. He did wait a little longer. A bit aero loose that time off turn 4 for Martin on these older tires. Just tailed his way out of it. Ends up back onto the race surface. So we made it to lap 250. 75 laps to go then this time by. Martin really wants to go at least another 10 laps on fuel. We led the most laps at Talladega, but Talladega is Talladega at the end of the race. It's never fully secured. And this one isn't either, but this is a race Mark Martin needs to win with the way he's performed up to this point. Superb performance. Took it very easy that first run. Not pressing it too hard. Took the lead right before the green flag pit stops finally. And pretty much ever since then has been the dominant car. His pit crew hasn't made a single mistake. Now, he did make one mistake speeding onto pit road during the second set of green flag stops at lap 130. But he's obviously overcame that as we continue to stay green in this one. Have not had a caution since lap 4, as we have now gone 250 laps since the first yellow. And the only yellow to this point. Not had a caution-free race on this Cup Series season, and we won't today either, but pretty darn close to it in this one. We'll see what Sonoma will bring next week, but first we have to close this one out and try to get Mark Martin back into victory lane for the first time in 6 races. Just cannot make a mistake. It's the last car in the lead lap that still has to pit. 70 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by. Jared up on the outside of the racetrack. Quite a few drivers racing down to the bottom to get by the 88. Martin clears him off turn 2 easily. Quite a few lap cars in front of Martin. Three of them to be exact right now. Martin underneath the 109 car. Can't stay underneath them all the way into turn 1. These guys are on fresher tires on the 6 as well, which is going to make it even harder to try to make the pass. Stays to the bottom low enough off turn 4. He gets underneath the 109. He followed him to get by those first 2 cars. Oh, overdrove it. Cleared him to the outside, luckily. Pushed hard, a little slide job there on these old tires. They have a lot of grip. Haven't really pushed that hard getting into a corner in a while on this run. A little loose in. Looking at Hamlin all over the back. Bumper, maybe got the 6 a bit air loose turning in, but hangs on to it again. 66 laps to go with where we run right now. Had to go 66 and 66 to the end to be able to make it on fuel. Actually, we pitted at lap 198, so Didn't have to go quite 66 both runs. I think we had to go more like 64, 63. I guess we're getting really close to that. 65 laps left at the line now, lap 261. We're going to pit. Not going to pit this time. Not sure how much further I want to go. 262, 263, somewhere in there to try to ensure that we can make it on one stop. Like a wall trip almost got into the wall. Running the top the last few corners. Martin drove it in really deep, trying to get underneath. Michael got a little loose. Look at that painted white line. Still fishtailing off of 4. Hamill got to get a lap back. Can't wait to get fresh tires back on this car, I'll tell you that much. We'll stay out this time by. We'll pit at lap 263. Martin back to the inside of Hamlin again. Don't know if he cleared him or not. So when we come out of the pits, we're only going to have about 62 laps to go. So Mark Martin will definitely be able to make this race on 4 stops. Great job pushing it on fuel as much as he has so far in the race today. And Mark Martin will be coming in. Can't make a penalty here. Needs to have a clean stop. And he does. One of the better pit road entries he's had really ever since the first one that he had early in the race at lap 66. When he made the first stop, it'll be 4 tires and fuel, no adjustments again for Mark Martin. So after a kind of a rough start with how loose the car was, never made an adjustment, just kind of figured the car out. Clean air has obviously helped it more often than not. You saw there towards the end of that run with a lot of lap traffic, we were kind of struggling again, but to me personally, didn't feel as uncomfortable as that very first run of the race. That was still, in my opinion, the sketchiest run we've had from a handling standpoint in this one. We will see where Mark Martin will exit the pit lane. There's Jeff Gordon. He was trying to get up to speed. Oh, he got into the back of... Got into the back of Mark Martin, moved him up out of the way, and that could allow Gordon to get out in front. Off turn 4, it will. Said hello. Jeff Gordon to the lead at Atlanta. Well, here we go. And Ryan Newman in the mix still as well. Gordon pitted before all these guys. That's why he cycled out in front of all of them. We got a little battle. Trying to give a little respect with Newman kind of creeping up on the inside. And the dirty air on the top lane behind Gordon, who's just kind of mimicking the line of the 6 right now. Ryan Newman. They have a chance to get by both of these guys before long. A little battle for the lead following the green flag pit stops. Great job by Martin holding on to the outside with a looser race car and having somebody underneath him. Newman holding a lot of speed still. I just can't get to the bottom. I'm too scared to turn down on top of him. A little loose that time off turn 2. Side drafts Newman. The back straightaway coming up on Dale Jarrett now. Oh boy. Gordon got held up behind Jarrett. Newman to the lead, gets by both the top 2. And so now Newman is out in front. So Ryan Newman leads the race. Martin was able to get back down to the bottom, but now it's the 12 car who leads. Gordon back to 3rd. Mark Martin in P2 again. Dale Jarrett kind of caused a little bit of a stack up there. 3-car battle down to a 2-car battle, and Gordon lost a lot of time. Martin for the lead on the backstretch. Not quite going to get there. He really wants that clean air again. He doesn't want to push the car too hard. Trying to get around him and really use these tires up. And a big run down towards turn 1 for Martin, but nowhere to go with it. Sterling Marlin in the 14 car will be next. Lappers, Newman doing a good job making sure he's not going to get picked behind any of these guys to allow an easier opportunity for Mark Martin to retake the lead away from him again. Mark Martin's already clinched the most laps led in today's race. Into the inside of the 133. Mark Martin follows again. 53 laps to go at the Atlanta Motor Speedway as Ryan Newman, the Rocket Man, out in front of the field looking for his 3rd win of the season. Although Mark Martin looking to make it on field at the end of the race and nobody else really has a chance. Martin trying to get Newman up off the bottom of the racetrack. Big dive into turn 1, a little too much of one. Martin sticks it despite getting loose all the way through the corner, and they'll drag race down the backstretch. Mark Martin to the lead in Hot Atlanta as he clears Newman in the middle of 3 and 4. Got a little loose off turn 4 that time as Newman on the heels of the 6. Trying to get back out in front. Don't think Mark Martin's going to give this lead up very easily at all. Gets the 6 a little arrow loose. Again, he might have a chance to capitalize. Newman a bit wide off turn 4 that time. Lap car in the 199 coming up. Well, 50 to go this time by as well. We still have one more field pass you have to get through in today's race. We had that first one, the first third of the going. Yeah, planning on going to the Tigers game Sunday before the NASCAR race. Be back home before the start of the stream. It was a 1:40 start time. I was thinking it was just after 1. I was thinking it was going to be like a 1:10 first pitch. It's 1:40 first pitch, but I'll still be able to get back in plenty of time. As long as it doesn't go to a ton of innings. Jarrett up in front of the 199 car. Mark Martin having to get to the inside. Newman got held up behind Jarrett a little more. He's just now going to get to the inside. Also picking the 199 car, and a lot of clean air now in front of Mark Martin with a 3 to 4/10 of a second lead as he gapped Newman by about 3 car lengths or so off turn 4 that time. The white line middle of the corner getting a little loose. Mark Martin leads the race. We'll take our final field pass, this time by at the start-finish line. So the 6 is out in front. At least for right now, we'll go to Jamie McMurray in the 26 first. McMurray in 18th. Caught behind Dale Jarrett, so is his teammate Greg Biffle. Biffle's still stuck behind Jarrett all the way through the corner. Man, Biffle's losing a ton of time. So McMurray definitely not in the free pass position anymore in 18th. Matthew Thor to Bruno, if I haven't shouted you out yet, I know you've been in the chat for a little bit. Apologize for that. Thanks for tuning in. Sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't yet on the stream. Getting down towards the finish of this race as we have less than 50 laps to go. The old Atlanta well, it's not a super speedway, I guess, at this time. Motor Speedway. It's still labeled as Motor Speedway, even though it's a super speedway. But then Nashville Super Speedway is labeled as a super speedway, and it's not. So it's kind of odd. That's a position McMurray just picked up. Down to 45 laps to go. We will swap to Greg Biffle in the 16 car next. We'll see what position he is in. We know he's on the lead lap, and currently in 4th. Jimmy Johnson looks to be the next car behind him. And Biffle's 6.1 seconds off the race leader, which is his teammate Mark Martin still. You know, I think a good way to try to gain track position, I think we pit early with Greg Biffle while we're racing as him, and we try to go fuel only. Knowing these guys are all going to have to pit again except for Mark Martin, try to see if we can get a better finish out of Biffle as a result of that. 5.7 seconds off the lead. He was about 2/10 quicker than his teammate those last couple laps. Pushing here with the Biff. I say try it. I think that's a good chance to try to get Biffle a second place finish. Have a 1-2 finish for Roush Fenway Racing. So we will pit this time with the Biff. So make sure we don't speed. And a good job. We did not. So we'll top off. It'll be a gas and go only pit stop. Kind of a splash and go for Greg Biffle to make it to the end of the race from here. And all in the hopes of hopefully being able to cycle out ahead into second. I think there's a good possibility of that. The bad news is if we get a caution, because then he's obviously not going to be in second anymore, so a caution would definitely hurt the 16. Tires, this is the 48 car. Elmer Johnson up to 4th. Kurt Busch just behind him in 5th. And we will go to Matt Kenseth now, who is in 11th. And I think we can get him a top 10 finish if we do the same thing we just did with Greg Biffle, honestly. A little bit of clean air in front of Kenseth for right now, so we'll stay out of the pits for a little bit. Loose there for Kenseth. Technically, Kenseth would have been in 12th place before Biffle pitted. 18.7 seconds off the lead as Kenseth now. If he pits, well, granted, it's going to be fuel only, so I guess we're not going to go 2 laps down. If we were to take tires, we would probably be in danger of having Kenseth go 2 down. So it'd be even riskier for him if we were to get a caution. Kenseth on his way in, so same thing. Kind of locked the tires up a little bit there. But fuel only. Slightly less damage than what Biffle has. And a little bit less to go to the end, so that's probably why it's looking like a 7.9 second estimated stop versus an 8.6 for Biffle. So here's the splash and go only stop now for Kenseth. Third is where the 17 car runs. And got right back out ahead of Dale Jerry. Actually was able to miss the 88 car with pitting when he did. So he cycled out right behind where the 8's at. And we will now go with Mark Martin for the rest of the race today. And hopefully his teammates have gained a little bit of time. Martin has pulled away a bit more. So we have reached lap 293. Pete Conover, thanks for tuning in. $32 laps left for Mark Martin with this 1.4 second lead over Ryan Newman. And Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson 4th. Kurt Busch is 5th right now. Racing Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin, Greg Biffle, the Roush cars make their final stop. Martin on the same strategy as everybody else as far as how many stops they've made, though. Biffle and Kenseth have made an extra stop already. Hopes of trying to get Kenseth into the top 10 with the fuel only and short pit. And Biffle, who was in 4th, a potential 2nd or 3rd place finish, pitting when he did. Jared's still very slow. Mark Martin is 30 laps away from his 6th victory of the season. Jimmy Johnson ends up with the top 5, though. Martin's not going to gain that many points on him, but should get just over a 100-point lead. It'd be a max points day for Martin as well, with leading the most laps. And to get handily 214 laps today to get to 1,000 laps led in the season already. And he should be there. I'd imagine he's going to end up leading over 200 laps, especially leading to the very end here. Thing is really starting to get loose on me. Felt like I was battling it for over a half a lap there. As I got side by side with that 143 car. Felt like all the side force got taken off of it. So again, I know we only have to go 62 laps to the end, so we should be able to make it. If for whatever reason I couldn't make it, it would definitely be a fuel-only stop. Down to 26 laps to go in this race. And if we did get a caution, I would pit for tires. In a late race situation as well. Halfway out of gas is point in the run for Mark Martin. When will we see other drivers make their final stop? The only driver I didn't pit with was Jamie McMurray. I didn't think of that strategy until I swapped to Greg Biffle after I raced with McMurray. Biffle does finish second. It'll be back-to-back races. He'll end up second place. Still should have won California last night. Kurt Busch got his first win instead, beating him on a green-white checker restart. It'd be very similar in this race if Mark Martin was to finish second, if we got a late race caution. Very similar circumstance to how Biffle lost his race last night. And again, we know Mark Martin on that first restart spun his tires and that initial start spun his tires, and he lost at least one spot both times, so it takes him a little bit to get going. Really doesn't want to have a late caution, even if he does get fresh tires back with his car. Plus, he might not even win the race off pit road. That could be a risk too. Some cars already on pit road making their final stop right now for tires and fuel. It's going to be a little bit before the last car on the lead lap will have pitted yet. Most drivers are going to stay out as long as they can, just in case we get caution. We got one car blowing up, Elliott Sadler, so both Robert Yates Fords have had engine issues today. Dale Jarrett's still on the track, but many, many laps down as we pass him within every 10 laps. Now Sadler will be headed to the garage early. So close to making it to the end of this 500-mile race as well. 7 engine failures at California last night, all in the second half of the race. Took a while before we started seeing engine failures today as well. It was just after lap 100 when Jarrett blew his motor. I think he was one of the first ones in. I don't know if anybody DNF'd from that lap 4 caution we had earlier. Saw J.J. Yaley barrel roll. I'm not sure if he... Well, he definitely didn't DNF. I'm not sure if anybody else DNF'd from it. I know Robbie Gordon had heavy damage. He was involved but still in it. The 147 was involved. I don't know if I've seen him since. He might have DNF'd from the wreck. I'm not sure who drives that car. It's one of the fantasy drivers. By the way, I did have to check up behind Dale Jarrett that time. I couldn't tell what lane he was going to go in again. Took him a while before he went to the outside in the middle of the corner. And we're safe than sorry. 20 to go at Atlanta for Mark Martin. What a win that this would be for the 16. Got a 5.7 second lead. We know Ryan Newman's already pit. Imagine Jimmy Johnson still on the racetrack. Johnson trying to get another top 10 finish. He hasn't finished outside the top 10 yet this season. Of course, he'd be the defending champion. Or sorry, no. This was the first year he won his championship because this 2006 game, Tony Stewart was the 05 champ. Power slide off turn 2 there. Definitely battling Newman in the early going of this run before we started to pull away from him. I think has eaten away at the tires a little bit. Not quite as bad as what it was that first run, but it's going to help that we don't have to go quite as long on tires to the end of this race as what we did in the earlier runs as well. 62 laps. The shortest run we've had, 63 on that first run, would have been to this point. Least amount of laps we've gone on a full fuel run entire stint on today's action. Martin right behind this 145 car. We're down to 16 to go at Atlanta. Well, as the thumbnail states, trying to get Mark Martin back to his winning ways here today. Definitely a great chance to do it. 15 laps to go at the line. Trying to get that 145 car up off the bottom. Oh boy, a lot of contact. Tried to run him back down again. Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth definitely need everybody to pit. I haven't seen all the lead lap cars pit to this point yet. Again, underneath the 145 car off turn 4. Still can't clear him. They'll be door to door into turn 1 where they made contact last time. This time Martin had more of an edge. 145 will have to let the 6 pull clear. Now the 7's underneath. I'm not sure if they're on the same lap battle for position back there or not. Gonna catch Dale Jarrett at least one more time in this race, maybe twice. Depending on what the next lap is we catch him on. We're down to 12 laps to go on this mile-and-a-half racetrack. And Mark Martin is absolutely dominated here today. Far and away the fastest car. Best strategy. Here's Jarrett. Turn 4 on the outside. Okay, that was not good. Yeah, I don't want to be in this situation. That was tight. Got boxed in. Everybody's already pitted, so we got a 1 lap lead on the field. 10 laps to go. A lot of lap traffic around Mark Martin right now. Dale Jarrett really wanted everybody up there. We will catch Jarrett one more time in this race. Quarter tank of gas left this point to run. 9 to go at the line now for Mark Martin. We got a late caution. Free pass will be awarded to the second place car. They'll get back on the lead lap. Now, if we go past the scheduled distance, I think Martin, if we get a green-white checker in this one, is going to pit just to ensure he can make it on fuel. So we do get one attempt, potentially. We aren't necessarily guaranteed it for whatever reason in this game, but we could get that. McMurray on his way in. I'd imagine there's enough fuel for Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth to make it. Kenseth potential top 10, I'm hoping. Biffle finishes at least second. He should be able to, no matter what, finish at least 4th, which is where he was running prior to his stop. I know Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch weren't that far behind him when he pitted, but still. And he didn't lock his tires coming in like Kenseth. Kenseth might lose a little bit more time over the course of the run from where he was running compared to where Biffle's running, or how much time he may lose on slightly older tires. I mean, the fuel only 2 might work because by the time everybody cycled out of the pits around them, they had less than 20 to go. In some cases, right around 10 to go, where we've seen some of the last drivers hit pit road. Murray would have been a lap down, but he just pitted with 9 laps left. 6 laps remain for Mark Martin. Last night I finished 23rd. California, big step in the right direction here today. The worst finish of the season. And the first finish not to be on the lead lap, finishing 2 laps down as well. 5 laps away from pay dirt for Mark Martin tonight, and to get that 6th win of the year. Throw the points lead out of the max points day on Jimmy Johnson, who, assuming Johnson makes it to the end, will end up with a top 5 finish. He would have been in 5th before Biffle pitted. Kurt Busch was very close behind him. 5th or 6th is probably where he's going to end up. I do think Biffle's locked into at least a 4th place finish. I'm hoping he gets 2nd. Tried to help him a little bit after I heard him kind of causing that late caution, which set up the green-white checkered at California last night. Really solid day, though, for Mark here today. Quick turnaround after only 8 laps led yesterday. He's going to lead more than that today. It was the second fewest laps led in a race this season for Martin last night. Lowest before that was when he finished 2nd at Bristol. He only led 5 laps. Jeremy Mayfield dominated that one and got the win. 3 to go. Very low on fuel, but plenty to make it to the end. Probably be able to go another 5 or 6 laps after the checkered flag if he so chooses. Two to go. And he will catch Dale Jarrett on the front stretch, it looks like, one more time as well, which we kind of expected. Took to the final lap. White flag in the air, though. 1 lap to go for Mark Martin. And we will end this race with just the 1 caution all the way back at lap 4 and finish the race on a 318-lap green flag run. After the big wreck, I'm surprised there was no debris cautions. We saw J.J. Yaley flip. Robbie Gordon took a big hit in there, so the 147 who started the incident after getting loose and sliding off turn 4 right in front of Yaley, which sent him down the track. Checkered flag in the air. Mark Martin is a winner again. 6 wins for the number 6. And what a fast race pace today. 2 hours and 45 minutes to get a 500-mile race in. With only having the 1 caution, that's set up for a quick one. Could have had 1 more yellow, still had it in less than 300 miles. Or 3 hours, I mean. Didn't forget how to do the burnout in the Cup Series, just in the trucks in the bush for whatever reason. Let's go. Let's go. And yeah, Greg Biffle finished 2nd. Kenseth finished 6th. So Kenseth would have gained, from where he was running, it would have been 12th before Biffle pitted. So he gained 6 spots, and Biffle went from 4th to 2nd. Johnson did get past Newman. Newman lost a lot of ground. Final stop. He came in 2nd, ended up finishing 5th. So tough break for him. He still got the top 5, though. And a 1-2 finish for Roush Fenway Racing today. 229 laps led for Mark Martin from the pole. Dominating race today, and that was despite the fact he only led 2 laps of the first 66 before hitting pit road for his green flag stop. So that's really amazing that we were able to do that and still lead that many laps throughout the rest of the race. 17 lead changes, 1 caution. Most of those lead changes were during green flag stops, so we did have a few following green flag pit stops, but for the most part, again, 229 laps led. It was dominated by yours truly, Mark Martin. 181.53 miles per hour is the average race speed. 1 lap margin of victory. Again, Martin only pitted 4 times versus 5 for everybody else. Really was able to stretch those fuel runs out in the middle of the race, which helped him there. Biffle went fuel only to get the 2nd place finish after starting 3rd today. Didn't lead a lap, but a solid run. Jeff Gordon led 36 laps. He'll finish in 3rd. Jimmy Johnson 4th with another top 5 on the year. I believe 4 in a row for him. Ryan Newman with a top 5 leading 8 laps. Johnson didn't lead any, which is good for us because he came in second in points behind us. Matt Kenseth didn't lead a lap, finishes 6th. Jeff Green gets a top 10, finishing 7th. Great run for him. Tony Stewart finishes 8th. I believe that was Kurt Busch 9th, and Bobby Labonte rebounds after an engine failure in California last night, dropped outside the top 10 in points. I think he fell from 7th to 14th in the standings, so good top 10 for him. And Truex, who led a lot early, looked like he was going to be one of the ones to beat along with Mark Martin, really fell off over the course of the race, ended up just outside the top 10, lap down, and ended up finishing with 52 laps led. Looks like everybody from 13th on back finished 2 laps down, which is where Waltrip was. Our other teammate Jamie McMurray finished 17th, 2 laps down. He did not have a fuel only stop. If he would have, probably could have gained a few more positions. I didn't think about that strategy until after the fact. I'm glad it worked out. I'll remember that for races going forward. See who all DNF today. Joe Nemechek blew an engine lap 41. Foster blew an engine lap 124. We saw Scott Riggs blow up at lap 203. Dale Jarrett ended up finishing this race 89 laps down after his early engine issue. Elliott Sadler blew an engine at lap 303 late in the race. And then David Strumby would have finished. So we ended up having 4 DNFs, and then Jarrett finished many laps down, but still in the race when the checkered flag flew ultimately at the end. So we will get good luck here at Old Man Martin in victory lane. And Biffle finished second right behind him in victory lane with him. Yeah, Jeff Green, P7, good run for him. Dodge Save Mart 350 at the Infineon Raceway will be the next race on the season. Once again, that is a road course race at the now known as Sonoma Raceway under the current layout, which we would have saw in real life just a few weeks ago when NASCAR was at Sonoma. Ryan Jensen also welcome into the stream. Didn't see you in the chat there late. But yeah, we'll take a look at those point standings. Martin with a 118-point lead over Johnson. Newman still 389 back in third. Kenseth fourth. Greg Biffle now top 5 in points after finishing runner-up 2 races in a row. Biffle finishes second. Jumps past Kurt Busch, who ended up finishing in 9th. He fell behind on those late pit stops as well. Tony Stewart ends up 7th in points. Harvick Mayfield still camping out in the top 10. Labonte back up to 11th. J.J. Yaley 12th. Pretty good, honestly, for Yaley being a rookie. He's actually, I think, leading the Rookie of the Year standings. I think Truex considered a rookie in 06 on the season, even though in the last game he ran. I think in real life he only ran a part-time schedule in 05, though. So I believe he's a rookie. Yaley would be a rookie, and I think Yaley is leading the Rookie of the Year standings. So we'll see if he can hold that. It's a pretty tight race, though, for the Rookie of the Year right now, and there's no chase, so it'll be a season-long format even if they both make it in. Jeff Green, top 15 in points. Dale Jr., 16th. He is struggling this year. I'm not sure where the next rookie would be behind those guys, because Kane Vickers have been rookies in 05. I think Tony Raines had already ran before that. I mean, those could be the only 2 rookies. Oh, no, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin's 28th. Wow. I know he's a rookie, but J.J. Yaley is a teammate of Hamlin. They're both rookies in this 06 season. And Yaley is outrunning Hamlin. 12th in points for Yaley, 28th for Hamlin. Even Kyle Busch at Hendrick is 27th in points. What's going on there? Sophomore slump for him. Scott Riggs is not a rookie. Paul Menard's a rookie, that's right. So Menard's definitely a rookie. I think Sorensen and Stremme are rookies. They're back, way back in points. And obviously all the fantasy drivers behind them, but they're all top 35, it looks like. All the fantasy drivers behind them, but I don't think the fantasy drivers run the full season in the Cup Series like they do in the other series. All right, thanks for everybody tuning in here today. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I will see you guys tomorrow on the channel. We've got a doubleheader of live commentary coverage coming your way. The Truck Series at Mid-Ohio, my home track for the Truck Series, just racing about an hour and a half south of where I live. But I will not be at the race. I will be here at my apartment giving you guys the flag-to-flag coverage. That will start at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow afternoon. And then our Xfinity Series race coverage will begin tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They'll be racing on Super Speedway at Atlanta. Cup Series on Sunday. Our coverage will start at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that one for the Quaker State 400. Thanks, everybody. I will see you guys tomorrow for our doubleheader. And have a good rest of your Friday night.